Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Hang on a minute. Here we go again.
Oh,
Hey, Statto, that's terrifying.
oh yeah, you like that?
That's a authentic Christopher Lee monster or creature.
I couldn't bring in the Karloff one. We're talking Hammer tonight.
I know. So that's fantastic job. You know what I really like about it? The hair actually looks like it is a toupee. Fantastic. It's just like the makeup. Love
Aren't they all with me?
it. Good evening, Pete. Yeah, bringing on the Hammer goodness. That's what we're all about tonight. Ahoy, hoy, indeed, Mr. McCartney. Thanks for joining us. I watched the first episode of that Get Back Beatles documentary. It's really good.
Is it?
Yep. Unless you're not a big fan of the Beatles, because it's very long.
Of course, what if you aren't a big fan of them and you just really like watching them argue? Then it would be perfect.
It's still pretty good. Yeah, still pretty good. Just watching the reactions to each other is really.
I rather like music documentaries. I've seen like the big long Foo Fighters one and the like 4-hour Tom Petty one.
Yeah, well, this is like the first part of this was about 3 days, so I've started to watch like the second part. I think that's only lasted about 3 days as well. No, yeah, they're about 3 hours each, I think. 3 hours long each part.
Hot dang, that's a long documentary.
It is, but it's quite riveting. It's awfully good. Hyper Kaiju, thanks for stopping by, and indeed, very gruesome.
I am
very gruesome indeed. Right, well, without further ado, we're back in the saddle for the old at the movies, and we're back in a nice, comforting place for myself, which is Hammer Horror.
Oh yeah,
I watched all the Hammer films mostly in sequence because they were getting shown on TV.
Is that right?
With just some of the later 70s ones coming in. Before it finished seeing the ones that were made in the 60s, because a different channel got them and started showing them.
Mm-hmm.
I think watching these movies like pretty much in sequence, sometimes week after week, on Saturday night. You'd watch, you'd watch Curse of Frankenstein, and then you'd maybe see like another one like in a fortnight's time, that kind of thing.
Sure.
You of course, it was all different with you, wasn't it?
Oh, well, this is a weird case. I watched a lot of these almost all at once, and that was the same for the Dracula ones too, because they didn't air them as much on TV and stuff like that, especially when I was a kid. And it was a little bit the same with the Universal collection. I mean, I saw a couple of them, but I had to wait until DVD to actually sit down and watch them. Half of them I didn't even know existed until I got the Legacy collections. But with these, I think the big challenge was, there's, in America at least, there's so many different distributors for each of these. I think the only one that Hammer actually retained rights to distribution over here in the States was Frankenstein Created Women. Otherwise, one's owned by Universal, and one's got Fox, and one's got,
Columbia,
WB, whatever like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I can imagine why it would be difficult for them to show them on all kinds of TV stations in any kind of bulk. I mean, it's just like a blink and you miss it sort of thing. So I had to wait till DVD and chase down, little piecemeal sets here and there,
right,
to see them. So I got to see them relatively in order. Well, bits and pieces like Frankenstein. I've got like 4 of these out of the 7. Is it 7 or 8, something like that?
Yeah. It doesn't matter so much. The first 2 Frankensteins are kind of connected. The rest of them, it doesn't really matter what kind of.
Nah, it turns into like Halloween. Michael Myers. Yeah. They just do whatever they want.
Yeah. So.
Which I was a little saddened about, because they had a good thing going for a while.
Yeah, but they had percussion.
Yeah, it's really all you need.
Pretty much.
I wonder if it drove him crazy, because he's like, but the last movie I did this.
Indeed. I'm just getting my website up today because I can't be bothered showing the campaign and doing the shelving. But if anybody wants to, there's a link. Yeah, there's links to Ailsa Dark on my webpage, which is quite easy to remember. It's terriercomics.com, and that'll find it. And if you get there, you've got like a link to the Ailsa Dark campaign. 89 backers. The comic is coming along. It's coming along slowly. I'm not going to lie, but the making of is nearly done, and is now not a 28-page making of book. It's now a 36-page making of book, because I'm just a masochist when it comes to this campaign. I keep adding things to it. But yeah, it's really good. It goes really in depth with kind of like all the comics I did before, Ales of Dark and leading up to it. So I was just enjoying doing it. I was enjoying putting together a kind of book, a making of book. So so that's probably going to go to print in a week or two and get printed before the comic's done. So I'll share that with everybody when it gets printed. Yeah, but if you check out the website, it's got links to everywhere. It's also got a link to my TeePublic, where you can get Hammer Horror t-shirts and so on, and up there there's a wee link to Redbubble if you'd rather use Redbubble as well, and you can get Hammer stuff and you can get Ales of Dark stuff. So that's that shilling done.
Like it.
Be going. Let's talk Frankenstein. Right, I've got the sound off. I'll play the trailer here, and get the first copyright claim of the evening, and we can talk about the curse of Frankenstein, or Stein, or Steen. And there's the man himself, Peter Cushing. The best asset that Hammer Films had, really, just about the best actor they could have had for their,
he was their guy,
style of movies. Yeah. Came with a lot of gravitas from the work that he did on TV and on stage. So,
of course, Christopher Lee came in like a real close second after a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Not so much. He hadn't.
Not so much here because he's playing the creature. He's pretty much just cast because of his size and big guy. But there's a couple of scenes in here where he really does get to play the character or the creature, and he does a good job. Robert Urquhart's pretty good in it there. He's got some weird aging makeup on. Because young Peter Cushing is not, or young Frankenstein is not played by Peter Cushing.
Right. Doesn't even look like him. No, it's played by Melvin Hayes, who anybody in the UK will remember was a comedy actor from 8.5 Hot Mum, which doesn't get shown much on TV these days. But yeah, there's some weird makeup stuff going on with him in this movie. Groundbreaking movie, shocking in its day. It was like colour and blood and body parts, and it's like Saw back in the day.
It kind of was. Yeah, it's hard to believe that, but it was kind of like Saw. Cheers, Pete, in the link there. Thanks for that. There's a terrific reveal of the creature in this movie. It's just done really well.
It's like a weird jump scare kind of.
It's a weird undercranked sort of camera, and
it kind of reminds me of how, like in the like the Conjuring type ghosts move with like a weird fast jerky movement, or like the Ring or whatever like that would do stuff like that. But there they are. Just take a look at his face.
Yeah, they were talking about Terence Fisher as a director as well, because we're going to talk about him quite a bit. So he would have been the architect of that scene.
Oh yeah. I mean, it makes sense, most, there's so much like stationary stuff and there's so many quiet moments in here, and then you get to that scene and it's just like the camera goes buggy and rushes right up to it. That's very unsettling and unexpected.
Yeah, there's that scene. There's a scene as well where the creature is being treated like a dog almost by.
Isn't that always the way it is? You get like the help and they come in and just start beating on the creature that you created. I think we might have lost Wullie. That's okay. I'll keep on going. This particular movie, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've all seen it, but for anybody watching the replay, it's very different from the Universal Frankenstein because they were a little afraid that Universal would sue them. So they did this almost completely from the ground up. Now, the cool thing about Frankenstein's franchise over the pond, where you guys are, is it focuses on Frankenstein himself the Mad Doctor, not so much the monster. Each movie's got a different monster, and it's got a different kind of callous way of dealing with them. It's like, oh shoot, he died. Oh well, I can get another one. That's no problem. Which I didn't know prior to actually watching these movies. I thought they were just remakes or just adaptations of the book. And it turns out, no, it's very different. I really like, I prefer this Frankenstein to the Universal one. Monsters, it's hard not to say the Universal because it was pretty consistent along the way, but it was I think much more interesting to follow around the crazy scientist that was just making stuff out of dead body parts. Oh, and Pete, yeah, that's true. I think after this came out, it had a huge effect. Wullie, I'll be back in a minute. It had a huge effect on filmmakers. Watching this and Frankenstein itself back to back, I appreciate a different adaptation, a different way of looking at it. So I'm really glad that they went from the ground up. As a matter of fact, I wish they would have kept on with that. You had Curse of the Werewolf, which they went a totally different direction than Universal. You had No Hammer. They didn't meet Abbott and Costello, which I love that movie too. Hyper Kaiju. But I wish they would have continued to do different things rather than eventually just start kind of remaking and using best of stuff from the Universal line. Like the second movie, you get to talk about that, where you got a hunchback that is promised to fix, sort of like House of Frankenstein. You've got it's sort of like becomes greatest hits of stuff from Universal once they were given the go ahead to use it. And I wish they would have just not fallen back on that and just continued on doing different things, but still a unique way to go. And I think I'll have to watch the Dracula ones again, but I feel like these aged a little bit better in my eyes than some of the Dracula ones that felt like just strung along no budget movies, where they just kind of put Peter or Christopher Lee at the end. And surprise, kids, it's a Dracula movie. What do you got, Pete? Back in the late 70s in the UK, we used to get double bills on BBC Saturday nights, usually one Universal, one Hammer. Ooh, sweet double feature. Grew up loving both studios' work. Me too. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's been a while since that happened.
But we handled it.
But yeah, anybody who's not witnessed that before, occasionally my Macintosh doesn't like streaming and it kind of like just crashes on me. Did you hear me swearing, or did it crash before I started swearing?
I read you swearing. No, I didn't.
Yeah. Luckily, when I opened up Firefox and Chrome, which has got StreamYard, it remembered all the tabs, so I don't have to Google all these again. I wasn't going to. I was just going to wing
something.
it.
Well, that's pretty seamless.
Yeah, the late night double bill, they were great. That was a late night BBC Two, 2 films. Yep, exactly. They maybe start, you'd have like a Bela Lugosi and Dracula, and then the next film would be like Peter Cushing and the Curse of Frankenstein, that kind of thing. And Friday nights, we had like in Scotland, they call them Don't Watch Alone. We would get the odd movie every now and then, and you got the odd kind of like early 70s Hammer pop up in that as well. So yeah, for all its faults, the 70s was pretty cool when you were a kid, got to say.
Right. Ooh, ouch.
Oh, that's it. You're on my naughty list now. You're my Christmas naughty list.
Yeah, I was just saying while you were gone, I do kind of wish that Universal hadn't really given, remake rights and stuff like that to them, because they were doing some really interesting alternate stuff going off in different directions. And then as soon as they were given those rights, they started just using like a greatest hits of Universal stuff in some of their later movies.
Yeah, well, it's dull because it stopped. I'd already played through all the ads before. Now we got to sit through some smarmy people trying to sell us something we don't want.
Oh boy.
Let's get through that. There you go.
Back Elsa Dark, by the way.
Yes, Back Elsa Dark. Well, before they did that, though, they did the first sequel, which was Revenge of Frankenstein.
I like that one.
Me too. And again, they took a really different. It was a direct sequel to Curse of Frankenstein.
Yep.
This trailer for it here, where they're giving you the greatest hits. This is the scene. Yep, they're giving you the greatest hits for the first movie.
Yeah, you really got to see how evil. I mean, like in comparison to Colin Clyde, you got to see how evil he was in, at the start of this movie when he was just like, "Oh, my maid's gonna blackmail me. Wait, go kill her."
Complete sociopath. Yeah, driven. But you can understand him, and you maybe don't like him, but you really want to watch him. You want to see what he's going to do next.
You kind of wonder, like, his whole thing was to, like, publish these papers, showing that he brought somebody back to life, gaining notoriety, but then he's still got to answer for, like, murder, grave robbing, stuff. So I suppose maybe he's just happy to rot in a jail cell for science after he's got his name in the books.
Maybe.
Or I don't know if he really thought that over.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stuff in this movie is like the eyeballs, when he gets the eyeballs to move around. And,
right.
It's just
right.
Goofy and fun.
Yeah, this one was a weird, like, it didn't feel like a Frankenstein movie really until the last third, when you get like things go wrong. It was like a medical drama, and then it turns into a Frankenstein movie about that point right there.
It starts off as well. You've got like the rich woman trying to kind of like throw her daughter at him as well. It's like these women
Michael Palin playing that role.
Exactly, because you can imagine it was the missionary, something like that. But this is very much like
I suppose that one could have. It's a little easier to do, just the dramatic turnaround than the really fast.
Yeah.
Like roll up on him again and try to use that trick.
Kind of reminds me of the Frankenstein, the True Story in some respects. This, if you ever seen that one.
What's that?
Frankenstein, the True Story, the TV movie that was done.
I haven't.
Yeah, Michael Sarrazin. Kind of reminds me of that, or I should say that reminds me of Revenge of Frankenstein. It's worth a look, worth a watch. He says, having only ever seen it when he was a kid on TV, but I'm sure it still stands up to some degree. But so this was a weird one for lots of reasons, but it carried on. It tried to do something different. And I think before we started here, it's like I was saying to you, it's like the cinematographer, Jack Asher, I think he had a lot to do with the success of the first few movies, because they were so colourful and kind of interesting to look at. He liked to use lots of coloured gels. So instead of going for like dark shadows and all that kind of stuff, he was actually making use of the fact that these were the first full colour horror movies, totally different to Universal did. Yeah, they were kind of like full of blood and gore. And
almost making them comic booky.
Exactly, that's what it felt like. It's like so at times it looks really, when you watch it on Blu-ray, it's like watching an episode of Batman or something. It's got that feel to it. But
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, there's only really one or two traditional monsters in this. The Christopher Lee one is close to the traditional monster.
Yep.
This one definitely not, because flesh-eating guy becomes like a deranged.
It's something went wrong. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was actually a pretty good pivot. Like when you get hit in the head with the chair, and it kind of changed everything. Yeah. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. Of course, it's a fantasy thing, but it's like he gets hit in the head with the brain, and all of a sudden he gets all of his problems back.
Yeah,
but I could see the deranged part and stuff, but that it worked for like making it more monstrous with him like limping around.
Is it Michael Gwynn? I think he was really good in that scene where he gets hit, and you see him change, and he stares at the guy, and then the guy's like absolutely terrified of him the minute he just looks at him.
Yeah, that was a great pivot.
It's really well done. So I think when they do that kind of stuff well, they get away with it, don't they?
I think this might have been the first one that I ever watched.
Well, that's interesting, because it's so kind of like it's not a typical Frankenstein.
Oh, right, movie. Right. Well, I mean, I watched this because I got it in like a cheap Hammer collection with like some of the, lesser type Hammer movies. This was in there, one of the Mummies, and I sat and watched it, kind of not 100% sure what I was looking at, because, like I said, I kind of thought before I watched these, they were kind of remakes along the same lines. I didn't realize it was focusing solely on Cushing. I watched this, and then, wow, I had to go get, like, I bought this, or I bought the original, I bought the Mummy, and a couple others from this line, because this one sold me. I really liked what they did.
And these first two movies got pretty much the same crew working on them as well. So you get Terence Fisher directing them, and you get Jimmy Sangster writing them. And Terence Fisher was good at doing gothic stuff because he did it. He almost grounded it in an almost matter-of-fact way, but he was totally all in on any kind of spiritual aspects that were there. So I think that kind of helped make them work, especially for what at the time were modern audiences. You know.
Oh yeah, and I love that Cushing could pull off like being the ultimate good guy and the ultimate bad guy without anything else. It's the same guy. He barely even changes his hair.
I know.
But I mean, I do like the contrast too between him and Colin Clive. Colin Clive being that, like, he's just on the edge of madness. It's alive.
It's alive.
And then this Frankenstein, when Frankenstein wakes up, he just look at his assistant and be like, "I told you."
Yeah.
And
the thing about Cushing's Frankenstein is it's almost like he's only perturbed when it looks as if the monster's going to be destroyed and he can't do anything else to it. Everything else, even his own safety, doesn't seem to matter that much.
But then somebody walks in the door and he says, "Sweet, fresh meat."
Exactly. It's a sort of one to the next. There's some movies where he's got a wee bit of humanity in him, so that's what makes it interesting. But this is like this film ends with him having his brain transplanted, and
right.
And essentially, it's like his assistant, the other doctor that does it, and it's successful, and it really ends with him being the winner. It's like he's been successful. He's done what he set out to do.
The interesting flaw in the logic here is, I mean, now that he can basically body hop.
Yeah.
Why in the world would you put yourself into someone that looks exactly like you?
Yeah, the only difference is we mustache and stuff. I know.
And then he goes ahead and uses like some variation of his name every single time. Dr. Frank,
I know.
Dr. Hugo, or Dr. Victor.
Yeah, Tony Stein.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's both kind of good because it's a wee capper. It almost finishes those two off as like two standalone films, but at the same time you kind of want the adventures of this Frankenstein that can body hop,
Oh yeah, I can see in some small village where they're like, there is zero chance of a Frankenstein happening here. Well, why is that? Well, we don't have anyone here named Hans, so he's not going to be able to.
There's a few different Hans in these, isn't there?
I think there's 3.
Yeah, Hans is their go-to Igor substitute.
Just like Paul for Dracula.
Yeah, pretty much.
3 Pauls for Dracula.
Pretty much. But then they got distribution from Universal, a wee bit more money.
Yep.
And we got this.
The most straightforward of them, I think.
Yeah. So
I like the last act of this movie a lot. Like the first 2/3, it's like they didn't need to do a flashback because it's not a continuation or anything like that.
They didn't need to do that. But I suppose they're setting up the monster that he finds that we never saw him build.
Yeah.
So this is a Frankenstein who's already created a monster, lost it, and now he's finding it again. Freddie Francis directed this one, and I think it looks great. It's got some terrific matte paintings in it. It's got a bit more money, some cool kind of effects. Yeah, the model shots and matte paintings and the sets are all terrific in this film. Monster, not so much.
Well, it's
yeah.
This one, now this is the one with the hypnotist, right? I watched it a while ago.
Is it Zoltan?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, this is what I was talking about, where they start borrowing from Universal in terms of not just the square head, but Igor.
Yeah. This is very much like Hammer does a Universal horror movie. But it's still it's as good as entertaining as the latter day Universals. The House of Frankensteins or the House of Draculas.
Absolutely.
So,
but I think that's probably why I liked it just a little less. It felt like Hammer, they like capitulated a little bit and just compromised. And I wonder how it did. I'm not 100% sure how it did in American audiences, to be honest. But
I'm not too sure. I know that they had, so hyper casual saying they've not actually seen this one. I know there was an American TV cut where they filmed extra scenes with the not with Peter Cushing or any of those kind of leads, but they kind of cut them into the movie to make a longer film for showing on TV. But I'm guessing because also with Universal they had the Phantom of the Opera. So two interesting movies, but maybe no their best, you know.
Right. And the monster here with his paper mache face.
It looks better in the poster.
I was going to say it looks much better in the poster, but it's kind of like that thing you order on Amazon and then it just doesn't look quite right when you finally get it.
Most of the books that I order on Amazon when the Postman's had a good kicking at them. Kiwi Kingston, who was a wrestler, and seemingly had a farm that he looked after animals afterwards. I think something. I remember seeing something like that in one of the extras. It's been a while since I've looked at the extras for this. But there you see there's a picture there finding them in the ice. You say it's just beat by beat. It's like Hammer does Universal. Interestingly, it was a double bill with Nightmare, which I think was another Freddie Francis film. So the same director, because his earlier movies for Hammer were the kind of like the Psycho rip-offs.
Right.
And he said himself he didn't really have an affinity for Gothic, but he gave it a go.
I have my share of those, like the Snorkel, Nightmare, Panoramic, stuff
Paranoia.
like that too. Or Paranoia,
yeah.
But yeah, don't take stranger or candy from a stranger, kind of stuff.
One thing we never mentioned, because they did the first kind of Frankenstein movie. Oh, I can't remember the name of it now. Chat will help me. Is it the four-sided triangle? Oh, what was it again?
Well, there's a problem right there.
Exactly, because it is actually an extra on one of these movies. I've got it in Blu-ray, but I can't remember which one's got it as an extra. So I'm checking. I'm pretty sure it's a. I've just clicked on Terence Fisher because I'm sure it's a Terence Fisher film. Four-sided Triangle from 1953.
Sure.
Right. Four-sided Triangle was a movie where it's a weird kind of British science fiction movie where the mad scientist in it can actually duplicate things completely. So if he puts a rock inside the wee case and the other case, you'll completely recreate the rock as it is. And then as it progresses, he tries it with animals, and then he does it with the woman that's in the movie, and he makes a replica of her because, of course, he's in love with her, but she's married to somebody else.
Oh man!
Yeah, but they kind of like the other version of her isn't quite right. So that was kind of Terence Fisher's first kind of Frankenstein type movie. And it's so methodical and kind of like, like in black and white, knobs and dials and all that kind of stuff. And injections in the back of the neck, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's an interesting one to look at if it's out there. And it's an extra on one of the Blu-rays. I'm trying to remember. I think it's Curse of Frankenstein. I think you'll get it on Curse of Frankenstein. The UK release is an extra. So it's quite a fascinating wee movie. Very early 1950s and very slow. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that probably kind of works as a forerunner to them taking on Frankenstein.
Oh, for sure.
Frankenstone. Right. This is one of my favourites. So it is. Does this have
using a satellite dish?
Yes.
Yes, we'll get it with DirecTV. Oh, tie-in.
Now this is like a big kind of like Roger Vadim hit when God created women. And they've kind of ripped off the title for Frankenstein created women. It's not a Terence Fisher one. And this is one of Martin Scorsese's favourites.
I got to say, though, Like, if he's gotten this intelligent where he can just take souls and move them around and stuff like that, you would think that any of these little blunders wouldn't phase him at all, because this dude's a super genius at this point.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it now as if it's like it's continually a different Frankenstein.
Yeah,
You know?
I feel like that's the best way to do it. For sure.
But yeah, this is like she's got scars on one side of her face. So yeah, because we did that. What was that episode? Tales from the Crypt one, where there was mad doctor scientist was trying to get their souls out for their bodies. Peter Cushing had been there well before. That's somebody being my buzzer. You take over for a second, Statto.
Your buzzer. Yeah, this one, it's a weird kind of, when you watch it. I don't know if you guys have seen this one or not. You've got this guy he's got a love affair with this girl that's got a disfigurement, and he gets executed, and then Frankenstein, and she kills herself. Frankenstein takes his soul and puts it into her. So then he's like talking to her, and you're not sure if like he's acting or she's acting through him. It's sort of a weird. I think it's the weirdest.
But this is
all of the Frankenstein movies here.
Yeah, that was my neighbour getting a pizza delivered, and they came to the wrong place. So
beautiful.
If I hadn't just had a huge meal, I'd have kept it. But what can you do? So yeah, so sorry, what were you saying there about this?
I'm saying it's the weirdest one because it's like the biggest like logic jumps, the most fantasy. It's not really body parts anymore. He's moving souls around, and then there's a weird confusion of like who's in control as far as the girl goes when she's like seducing people and murdering them, and he's all like doing like a Friday the 13th, kill her, mommy, kill her kind of thing, and then talking to his own severed head. So is it like him talking to his own head, or is it her talking to him? It's
but then the other people hear him as well, don't they?
It's weird. Yeah,
it's really weird. It's like it pays dividends to watch it, you know, again every now and then. And Susan Denberg makes for a particularly attractive monster. It has to be said, not your usual creature in a Frankenstein movie. But yeah, I don't know what is it? Yeah, but I just had fish and chips.
Not a bad night.
Yeah, I don't know what the chat think if they've seen this, because it is a favourite of mine.
This is your 1976 AD? Or?
I couldn't find my copy. As well as want to watch it again. I couldn't find my copy. But this is on the cusp of getting into the 70s, you know, and it's a bit stronger than the other ones. It's a bit more, you know, the violence is a bit more visceral in it.
Yep.
And Hammer tended to play with class structure a lot in the movies as well.
Sure.
You know, so the really nasty, horrible people that were like upper class, you know, sorts bullying, like in this movie, bullying. And that's just British cinema in the 50s and 60s and 70s, to be honest, was all about class structures, even the horror movies. But got to say, that's a good poster.
That's a great poster.
It's like they just did posters better then. See, they go with that for the Blu-ray cover. I never understand it. You've got that, you know.
Well,
even that.
I love the painted covers. Well, you know, they still do nowadays with like stuff like Scream Factory and Shout Factory like to commission art covers. I think Arrow over on your side does it as well. They like to make, because I mean, you know, it's just more eye-catching than like if you look at like Liam Neeson's output. How many movie posters does he have where he's standing there looking down with a gun in his hand? How many? Or looking at the camera.
My favourites are the straight-to-video Steven Seagal ones, where it's not even his body half the time that the head's
right. And he's just looking at just standing there. And maybe there's some fire in the background to let you know it's an action movie. I love the painted covers. They should never have gone away from them. I think it makes it more like, you know, adds to the movie experience. Like
it does.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. What a mashup. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And then he goes to that world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Sandworms. Why did it have to be sandworms?
This was a double bill with the Mummy Shroud. That's interesting. It's a much better movie than the Mummy Shroud, but even that, the Mummy Shroud is still entertaining. But yeah, this is by far the better
We'll
movie.
have to compare them, the Universal and Hammer Mummy movies. I'm interested to see what you think about those. Because they both have their ups and downs. One might say they drag a little. Ayo.
Oh, I know. Temple of Doom poster. Yeah, they're all good, aren't they?
Oh, that one's my favorite of the 4 indie posters. Temple of Doom one for sure.
Cheers, Pete. It wasn't all me, it was mostly Google. But yeah, I did the search to try and get as many posters as possible. But yeah, Kuiper Kaiju. The thing is, you can do a marathon of these because they are different enough.
I think Hammer had better posters than Universal. Universal tended more towards like a lot of photo posters and stuff like that. They just grab stuff from the movie and manipulate it.
Pretty much. Just nice. Although, I don't know why, but for some reason that's still my favorite.
That is a great, the red eyes, the green background contrast with the red. That is a wonderful poster. Get me to see it.
It's got gothic kind of connotations towards the Universal stuff, as well, with the colours and everything.
I mean, he's technically looking at her chest.
He is. He's actually looking at where he would probably dissect.
Oh, knowing him, yeah.
Where he would cut it open, because that's
sure.
that's the way his doctor thought.
Well, up until Frankenstein must be destroyed.
Speak of the devil.
Indeed.
Oh, for goodness, what they're trying to sell us now. Christmas, what's that about? It's not all about shops, There we go. Well, there's no things for this. No things for this. Hey, Ashen. Frankenstein must be destroyed. This is another one of my favourites. This one. Again, it's not your typical
weird
monster.
Character decisions in this one for him. And I know that Peter Cushing wasn't excited about a lot of it.
Well, they've got Veronica Carlson, who's quite a few Hammer movies, gets a good role in this, gets to play a good character in this, and he gets to play a Frankenstein that has no redeeming features whatsoever in this one.
Right.
And they make sure he definitely has none because he actually rapes her character at one point.
Yeah, and nobody liked it.
Yeah, that was added at the last minute. I think even at Hammer, careerists and everybody involved didn't really like it, but
it was the assistant producer, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like the money comes in and says we need to sex it up a bit, and for some strange reason back in those days, a rape scene was seen as sexing it up. So,
right. No, that was a terrible idea. And
terrible
idea. This was near the beginning or around like when Hammer just had great third act to this movie though. Hammer had they just started inserting random nudity in to try to compete, which they couldn't, with what else was going on and stuff. So it's like Exorcist versus a Hammer movie, and it just, they were doing stuff modern that the guys making it just they weren't comfortable with. So it always came off as weird.
Yeah, I mean, this one manages to, apart from that one scene, this manages to survive that because there's no nudity as such or anything. So
right.
It's kind of
forced. Well, it happened more in Dracula, I think, and then
and even because I remember seeing it as a kid and going, that's a bit much, but it still works for his character. Not so much for hers because
like that before.
No, but in this movie, his Frankenstein in this movie,
if this is a different Frankenstein,
it just seems so cold.
I would think he wouldn't even bother with it.
Yeah, that is. You would think that as well. That's probably the truest take of it.
Yeah, this was a compelling monster. I like the most complex, without being weird like the last movie. This was a like all the stuff was tied up toward the end kind of thing. So I like that a lot.
Yep, but that was on the other night. That must have been on a.
This is the one where this is the one where he's sitting there. In the thing, and they're all saying, "You're Victor Frankenstein." He turns around and just makes them all look foolish with some logic.
Yeah. And my StreamYard does not let me click on things. There we go. It was really off-putting. Yeah,
I
I think that's what I thought as well when I was like a kid. I thought it's effective because this is a horror movie and this is making me feel uneasy.
I think it was. I just think it was a little too far. Like Cushing is right. His character just wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's unnecessary to be in the movie. It didn't add to anything.
yeah, totally. Wrong decisions all around. But
Oh yeah. But I mean, the thing I like about this, they resisted the like urge to go modern. Like we don't have any money, let's make it now, like Dracula did. I know that's your favorite movie, but I mean, it's a very common thing, because period pieces are tough to, they're expensive to make.
I don't know. You've just made me think now. Frankenstein, AD 1972. That would have been a movie. If they'd made that instead of horror or Frankenstein, I would have been totally on board with that.
I don't know what you would have done. I mean, it would have been the same thing except cars instead of horses.
It's Frankenstein and swinging Chelsea and London and oh.
Yeah, but then you would have had that like dig it, man, kind of stuff.
That's making it's making it even better. Got to say. Yeah, it's Freddie Jones makes a great monster in this. Terrific actor. Yeah,
the assistant, however.
What's his name? Simon Ward.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't Hans. Was it? I don't think so.
I don't know. Oh, who was he called in this? I don't think he was Hans. It was.
These all run together for me.
It was Carl.
Carl, that's right.
Carl.
I knew it wasn't Hans.
It's close enough. Close enough. StreamYards is not letting me do things particularly swiftly tonight, guys. But yeah, I'd like to put this as well was like, because when Peter Cushing, there you go, there it is. It's like just the way that he sawed their heads off and everything,
right?
And the noise when he takes it apart. But he used cabbages when he was sawing through stuff in one of the movies because they made the right kind of sound when you're using a cabbage on set.
Yes.
And he would go to see his own doctor to ask him about medical procedures and stuff like that, so that when he was using the utensils and everything, he was doing it properly.
Is that like a Foley artist? These guys that look for.
Yeah, that's that. But he was doing it himself on set, So yeah, he was just meticulous about all these things.
Early Foley.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I might be trying to rank them just before we finish, because there's not that many of them. Right. But yeah, this ranks high with me, even with that scene. Take that scene out of it, and the movie works better because, like I say, her reactions after that scene are not really. She would be a different character after that scene, but in reality, but. Okay.
We are counting horror Frankenstein.
Oh, we're totally counting horror Frankenstein.
I suppose it's a Hammer movie. It's not a Cushing movie.
Yeah, it's Hammer. It's Hammer does Frankenstein, and it's got Dave Prowse in it, so why not?
Oh, I suppose. Okay, fair play. I don't know what to think of this Frankenstein. He was, like a callous prick, but.
I actually always quite liked the makeup. People would say, "Oh, Terrier's had doesn't any makeup," but I quite like that about
the makeup. Sure, I'm talking like the performance for like the actual Frankenstein. Peter Cushing is so dang good.
I think Dave Prowse's performance as a monster is terrible, but I think he's been directed to be funny because
right.
I know that the guy who scored the movie, Malcolm Williamson, didn't like some of the choices he made, so he uses a kind of tuba. You hear a tuba pain whenever the monster's about, because this was supposed to be a black comedy version of the first movie,
right?
And unfortunately, it's a bit laden with the comedy. It's not the best. There's only a few that here coming up here. Oh, they don't show it in the trailer. Sure. The hand gives you like the V sign, and I think in America it gives you the middle finger in the American cut. So it's going for like really broad comedy, but I will defend this movie for various reasons. Right. I don't know whether anybody in the chat is going to
tar and feather you on your own channel.
Dennis Price is great in it,
Mhm.
As he always is. But he knows he's playing in a comedy. I think Ralph Bates is great as Baron Frankenstein in it.
Mm.
He's again second only to the previous Frankenstein movie. He is the most narcissistic, evil, terrible.
Well, that's basically what he played in the Dracula movie, right? A Taste of Blood Dracula, just like, come on, everybody, take a drink.
Yeah, he had a bit more charisma. And here he's just, it's like, you don't understand why anybody likes him. But I think it's played that way. I think it's all on purpose.
Sure.
I don't think Jimmy Sangster, who wrote it, I don't think he should have been the director. I think
Frankenstein looks a bit like a soccer hooligan.
Yeah, I think a director. I don't know why, but I always thought if Blake Edwards had been the director, it would have been a better movie.
You think so?
But there is good stuff in it.
Sure.
Maybe when I talk about the makeup, I'm talking about his head.
Right. He didn't have much past that. A couple of scars drawn on, but they just needed a big dude.
But it's one of these movies. It's I would say it was divisive, but it's not that divisive, and that most people just seem to hate it. And yeah, Kate O'Mara, hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, is very good in it. We're all thinking the same, yeah. It plays out scenes that happened in The Curse of Frankenstein, but it plays them out broadly. It's like taking the Mickey.
Yeah.
But it doesn't land when it's doing that. But when it's been a bit more subtle, it does land.
This is their Casino Royale.
Yeah. But funnily enough, Dave Prowse played the Frankenstein monster in Casino Royale, didn't he?
I believe so.
I believe he did, yeah. No, not the Daniel Craig one, unfortunately. That would have been. Now, this was a double bill with Scars of Dracula. And these are the two films that are always kind of slagged off by Hammer fans as being like the start of the fall of Hammer, as it were. But I think they're worth checking out, both of them. And I do believe they were completely funded by Hammer, because all the money had dried up, all the international, or at least all the American money had dried up. So they had to fund them themselves. So the certain cheapness that they had to them, that cheap quality and cheap look, was kind of inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yep, spam bot.
Got him.
There we go.
We dealing.
Yeah, there we go. Cheers, Hyper. That's the second time they've been in here. I recognise her face. StreamYard is running so slowly that I've accidentally blocked one of you guys. Sorry.
Thanks a lot. Now I'm gone. No, I'm just kidding.
What would happen if I block you in the chat? Would you still stay in the stream? Ooh.
I think I would. I just wouldn't be able to talk to our friends here, like word to word.
Yeah, interesting. Yep.
I'd have to talk to him like a savage.
Like a savage, yeah. I'm trying to think. I was trying to think how many copies of these films I've got. I think I've got more copies of Horror of Frankenstein than any of them, which is weird. It has to be said. Yep.
Interesting.
When you get to the Universal ones, I think it's Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein that I've got the most copies of, because that seems to be in every box set.
Oh, for sure. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you guys get full sets over in the UK? Like, you don't?
No, we don't.
Hammer didn't even distribute all their own stuff.
No, they have now. They've made a deal with Network Video recently, and that might be a case of now they're all going to start to bring them together. But it's like you say, it's like the Curse of Frankenstein, Horror of Dracula, The Mummy. These are all like Warner Brothers, and then you've got
they had worldwide distribution.
Yeah, but there's so the rights are still with all different companies.
Okay, I thought it was different over in the UK. I thought that was international.
No, so again, that's why I've got different versions of different movies as well.
That's ridiculous.
So the Horror of Frankenstein, I've got that in a German box set that I got.
Okay.
That was weird. What happened there? A German box set that I've got, which has got like a lot of the 70s movies because they were distributed by different kind of companies.
Right.
And it's Canal Plus, the French company that have got the rights to all those ones.
That's truly frustrating. That's the only one of the few things that Universal clearly has very much over Hammer. The fact that they're uniformed.
So I mean, Indicator, Powerhouse Indicator, they release some really nice Hammer box sets right now, but they're limited, and they're not getting
the Hammer box sets that I've seen are like
ones.
They're C-list movies basically. They're like black with they're black boxes with red lettering, and then you're getting like they're like not they're like these type of movies, but the side stuff like Gorgon and things like that.
Yeah, they're getting ones for those kind of like that were out with distributors like Columbia and Universal and that kind of stuff tend to make these kind of box sets. I still think they're well worth getting though. Sure. And yeah, Pete's like me, he's got his fingers crossed that we're going to get some really nice leatherbound. That would be nice collections of the Hammer catalogue. So fingers crossed. They do a terrific job with the stuff that they get network over here. They I'm currently watching Department S on
David
Blu-ray.
Prowse rather looks like Christopher Lloyd in a couple of those. A couple of those pictures, like,
oh,
I've got a headache.
Yeah, it does a bit. It's kind of like, it doesn't have great range. Got to say. I mean,
well,
we like Dave Prowse, but he doesn't have great range. Yeah, but so
range of motion, maybe.
Yeah. There's that's what she thinks of him.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, he's clicking on it.
The thing about Hammer is they had some fantastic publicity stills. Take a look at that.
Yeah, and sometimes they had nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah, we're back on Curse of the Werewolf again, aren't we?
Well, that and there was a bunch of stuff for Frankenstein Created Women, or the Woman.
Oh, there was tons of stuff for that. Yeah.
Where Peter Cushing's like kneeling next to her and she's in her underwear and stuff. Nothing like that in the movie. But they just did these crazy projection things, and that looks more like a spy comedy. That one over on the right.
It does. It's like it looks like a Mario Bava 1960s spy movie. You're right. Frankenstein, Private Eye, which is another movie I'd like to see after Frankenstein AD 1972.
Oh, yeah.
What's this? What they're trying to sell me now?
Bracelets.
Useless watches. Skip.
More than a wish. They're talking about ending.
We'll get a copyright claim for Screen Factory and for Paramount probably. Whereas again, Dave Prowse. There we go.
Putting his makeup on, trying to feel pretty. Got the lipstick and the eyeliner going.
Oh, I know. That's okay. This is an odd one. This is like.
This is the final one, right?
The final one.
Yep.
Yeah. Their detour with Dave Prowse making a comedy, it didn't work. So they went back to.
Oh man, took it right in the face. Good for him. What a champ.
Yeah, that whole scene looks pretty brutal. Because he's
like look at his skin's getting all red.
Yeah, good entrance so far.
Oh, I wish he would have played Scrooge with that wig.
Yeah, the infamous toupee, which nobody likes. I kind of quite like it. It's because one thing about his Frankenstein I've not mentioned here is very much like his Sherlock Holmes as well. And there's a bit of the Cumberbatch a bit that look with that wig, I think. It's a bit kind of like a Sherlock meets Frankenstein.
Yeah, I know this was post his wife died and he lost a lot of weight from grief and just getting older and stuff like that, which I think the story itself played very well to that situation. In this, I think they probably wrote it around his look a little bit more.
Yeah, I like this movie.
So what the fuck did he do? Go and rob a zoo?
The makeup's the only thing for the monster, but even at that, it's interesting.
Let's put a human brain in a gorilla.
You know what's really probably quite sad about this movie is I'm pretty sure Dave Prowse is giving his best performance under that makeup.
Oh, I'm sure it already looked like it was better.
But it's just a mask, and we can't really see his performance, you know. But Shane Bryant is his accomplice here. He's really good.
This one, it's been a while since I've seen, but I do remember them kind of putting a little bit of humanity into Frankenstein here. For his last,
but it doesn't.
A little bit.
It doesn't last for long.
No,
but there is a little bit. There is a little bit, but it doesn't last for long. This was one of the you were talking about earlier about trying to keep up with the Exorcist and everything else. This is one of the goriest ones. It was one of the ones that was cut the most because it's got like a glasping.
I mean, it's a memorable monster for sure.
Yeah.
You don't forget it. And it's probably, aside from Christopher Lee, the most Frankenstein monster-like. It just looks like an abominable snowman or a Yeti or something like that. It's the thing. And I feel like John Lithgow is going to come in, hit him with a car, and take him home to his family.
I know what you mean. Yes, Hyper Kaiju. There's a first for the show.
Hey!
Yeah.
Cat brought it up before you did.
Yeah, Hyper Kaiju got into the Planet of the Apes before I did. Well done, man.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I watched it, a couple of weeks ago when we were going to do the show originally before the Lurgy got me. I really liked it. I think Shane Bryant's really good in it. He's good in all his Hammer movies. And also, Madeline Smith is really good in it as well. Yeah.
You've sent him.
But I'm trying to think. I've got the book. Is it down? No, it's not down here because I've got my Alan Frank horror book, which has got the front cover is the scene where they're cutting the skull off. And that's they knew how to do the book covers in the 70s. But that was always my favourite image from it.
That looks like a like a magazine cover for eerie or creepy or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was one of these cases of they get the posters done before they, to pre-sell it and get money. I think that's what that was. It was inside a book I had when I was a kid.
Now we got to build this thing for. I
know. It's nice, wasn't it? That's it. That was the cover of the book. I was like, and there's lots of really good, just single scenes with really good character actors in this as well.
Oh yeah,
they're all sort of like in this institution, in this madhouse. And Patrick Troughton is a body snatcher at the beginning, so we've even got a Doctor Who in there,
right?
And we've got Bernard Lee as one of them. So we've got M from the Bond movies in there. It's got loads of little nuggets, little kind of 60s and 70s geek nuggets, as it were.
I wonder if these actors were like, I want to be in a Hammer film, or if it was like, I got nothing else to do, or if it was like, I'm told to go here. I'm not sure if they had the studio system, or the like, you're under contract, so you're going to just be in whatever movie we're in at the time or not.
Yeah,
I sort of wonder.
I think some of them, it wasn't so much they were under contract, but they liked them, so they used them and they were reliable.
Because I think we had that until around the 50s.
Yeah. I mean, some of them would have been under contract. Yeah, some of them would be, because I know that for horror of Frankenstein and Taste of Blood of Dracula, they were really pushing Ralph Bates to take over as like the next generation of Cushing and Lee. So no doubt they had him under a contract for a certain number of movies. In the same way as Oliver Reed originally was under contract for a certain number of movies. So
they had to let him go because they ran out of booze.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, it's like if they had him under contract, like maybe a few years later, when they were really into all their gothic horror, we might have got some really interesting Oliver Reed movies.
He hit me with a chair.
Yeah, but as it stands, he's still good value, the ones that he made.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
Hey, Kuiper Kaiju, the first two Cushing movies are, my opinion, the best.
Yeah, I think that they work as like a duo.
Yep.
But Frankenstein Created Woman is, you kind of got to just see it. Martin Scorsese kind of is one of his favourites. And it's like Pete said earlier on, I was just about to bring it up before I get thrown out in my own stream. There's so many directors you can find them online talking about these movies. Like Joe Dante and John Landis and all these people.
He's on a mission now. He's going to watch them all.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know what you think. So if we're going to, I mean, if they had gone on beyond Monster from Hell, I'm not too sure where they would have gone with. I think
they probably would have brought it modern, to be honest, because they didn't have any money at that point.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one to do, Frankenstein, because they'd already reinvented it with Curse of Frankenstein, and they did a really good job of keeping it fresh all those years, even when it wasn't the greatest. So Evil Frankenstein's not the greatest, but it's still what they were trying to do. They achieved what they were trying to do with it. You kind of got to admire that. Horror of Frankenstein. I never really noticed this, but I was watching like the making of the Horror of Frankenstein, and it's Jonathan Rigby, the guy who writes all these great books like English Gothic, all the horror movies. He was saying that in the opening sequence, it's like a picture of a naked lady, and you've got the hand of Frankenstein, and he's just drawing lines on the body, like it's basically going to do all the dissection.
Right.
And he spotted that it looks like a fiber tip pen that he's using. And right enough, it does. It looks like he's using like a fiber tip pen or something like that. And he said that pretty much encapsulates the whole movie in a nutshell. As in, there's not much care taken over it.
Oh, for sure.
But it's still interesting. But I, to be honest, I had never noticed that. Seen it about a dozen times, and never even noticed that. Weird. So if we're going to rank them.
Ooh.
Oh, wait a minute. Have you seen that?
What's that?
The Frankenstein TV series with Sean Bean.
I saw, I think, one or two. It was a streaming thing.
Right.
I think I saw one or two episodes of it. I don't know that I ever finished it.
Yeah, I've not watched that either.
Called away and didn't return to it. I do remember it.
He probably dies at the end. Sean Bean always
possible.
Dies, doesn't he? Sean Bean probably dies in episode 3.
I think he prides himself on it. John Hurt's gone, so now he can take that. Take that crown.
Totally. Okay, so we're going to rank. If we are going to rank them, what's the worst?
For me, I'd probably put Horror of Frankenstein as the worst, just because it was, like you said, it was supposed to be a comedy. Kind of failed at that. He's going to live in Cushing's shadow a little bit. Monster wasn't particularly interesting.
Okay, I kind of agree. I would put it there, but I do think it has certain merit to it. And if you saw it as a kid, then there's that kind of like
standalone. It's, for
nostalgia
kids
factor.
Sure.
Evil of Frankenstein next.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I like that third act, but it took a while to get there, and it just kind of ended up borrowing a lot from Universal. That was a disappointment.
Gets a bit tougher now, though.
Right. The makeup was a little looked like drywall. Yeah. Oh shoot! I'm not getting a Christmas card.
Yeah, I hate having to put it at the bottom, but it kind of does, and the reason that it does is simply because technically it's not as well put together, and it lacks Peter Cushing. So that's That's what happens.
Oh man, I'm gonna get a picture of his middle finger with the drawing of Frankenstein on it. I'm sure.
So yeah, Evil of Frankenstein. See, I find it really hard to rank the other four because Curse of Frankenstein does brilliantly kickstart an entire genre of horror movies in the 1950s.
Well, we're going to disagree on it, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I enjoy the others more, I think. So I would put Curse of Frankenstein next.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'd put Frankenstein Created Woman. I think it was just muddled. It wasn't bad. I think it was muddled.
Yeah, no, I would
crap.
Well, we'll swap it, because I would probably put that
you put
next.
That number 3.
So we're just swap them around. I would put that in there.
Sure.
After that, and then we're down to Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed for me, and at the top, I don't know. At the top, I'm going to put Revenge.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like Curse of Frankenstein and Revenge pretty much where they are as a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
And then I would say
I'm going to force you to put one above the other, though.
I'd go Must Be Destroyed, cutting out that completely useless scene. Then I'd say Created Woman, then Evil of Frankenstein, then Frankenstein Monster from Hell, and Horror of Frankenstein for me.
Yeah, see, Frankenstein Monster from Hell, I'm going to put that in there I'm going to put that right in the middle.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure where I would put it normally. I think I'll put it in there as like, I don't know. I like Frankenstein Created Woman. It's too low down. I'll put it under that.
Sure.
So I'm putting Frankenstein Created Woman above Frankenstein the Monster from Hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And away at the top, I'm putting Revenge. And then just under it, Must Be Destroyed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Slight differences,
but
not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not enough to get a chair broken over my head. And thank goodness I just had some surgery.
Yay. Pete's two favourites are the ones that bookend it, the first and the last.
Well, I like Curse. Curse was my number 1. Because I think the thing that I really like about it the most is it's such a standalone situation. If you never watched another one before, he got his head chopped off. It's over. Story's over.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's true.
Feeding into that second one, you get to see just how smart he was with the body double and stuff like that. But then you cut those off and set them aside because they're one continuity. That's one thing. That's Halloween 1 and 2. That's over here. And then the rest of them get judged on a different scale, I think.
Yeah, but I think Revenge is actually funnier as well. I think the comedy in that works really well.
Oh, yeah.
It's pitched really well. So
it was a great example of like what you could do with the series in terms of like not being universal, which totally. I think is also why I like those two the most, because there was just no trace of any kind of copying. It was all totally original and unexpected. I think that's probably the best word I can use for it. Totally unexpected. When I walked in, I thought, okay, we're going to get something similar to the Universal stuff or some form of them. And it was nothing completely at all like it, or the books really. It was just, they took all the best ideas and they threw it into a pot, see what they get. And I love that.
Yep. I think the one thing that we're going to come away from this show is, or take away from this show is that as a series, it's interesting, it's intriguing. I guess as well, people watching it at the time, I mean, they didn't turn up on TV like 3 weeks later the way things do now. So you went to see them, and then it was a year later you go and see another one, you know. So it didn't really matter that the continuity was all kind of screwed up and disappeared.
I want to see something. Hammer's, they're still doing
I don't
themselves with, but I
don't consider them as being 100% Hammer yet until they have a go.
I would say
that. I think until they have a go at that, I don't consider them as being 100% Hammer.
I would say the Woman in Black fit pretty well.
It did.
Very gothic and stuff like that. So I mean, but then they kind of shied away from that. They did a sequel, but it wasn't. It was like World War I.
Yeah, the ones they've done after have not really.
And then the rest of them have been kind of weird stuff. Like you wouldn't even really think it's Hammer.
Yeah. I agree.
Oh,
I
here we
also
go.
agree with Hyper Kaiju on that.
Woman in Black. The Quiet Ones. Oh, the Quiet Ones.
What was the one with the couple that were? Have you got a list of them up there?
I'm looking at their current films right now, and like they got the Lodge, which is a psychological horror. I guess that tracks. I mean, you know, before they did the Universal stuff, they were doing a lot of like Alfred Hitchcock style stuff.
Yeah, I suppose it does. The thing I have is like I look at Hammer as being the names that were involved with it, and you see those names carrying on through, you know, movie after movie, and then new blood comes in, but still, those character actors are still there that were there before, you know.
Yeah, well, their output is sporadic to say the least. You had one in 2010, you had two in 2011, one in 2012, one in two in 2014, one in 2019, and then I'm not 100% sure what they got coming next, but I'm sure COVID put a wrench in some of that.
It's kind of like it's a perfect opportunity for them to, or it was the perfect opportunity for them to become like the British Blumhouse and approach movies in that way.
Right. Cheaper's better.
Yeah, because that's kind of what Hammer did and excelled at back in the day, making the most out of what they had.
Ashens, he made the point that the new one's only a remake of a better film. What was that, the TV movie from the 70s or 80s?
Yeah, TV movie.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I heard it was really good.
Spooky.
And then, of course, the play.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since it was on back then. But
I agree. Bring back old school movie posters, Hyper Kaiju, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be a glass half full kind of guy. I'm going to live in hope as well.
Well, you know what? No, here's what's going to happen. Eventually,
not listening.
Blumhouse is going to take on more Universal stuff. I think that's probably a given. Well, no, actually, that's not true. Universal's going to do the new Frankenstein with Nicolas Cage, or no, Dracula with Nicolas Cage. So they're going to try that, and if that works, they'll probably continue. But if not, they'll probably do more with Blumhouse. Now, Blumhouse does their movies, and if it succeeds, I'm sure we'll see something similar from Hammer, or like they'll take a look to see what didn't quite work, and then they'll bring their stuff back for a new marketing push, maybe for 3 or 4 years down the line. That's my prediction.
Right. Okay. I think they're going to end up doing low-grade streaming shows.
That's possible. That's possible. Like a Shudder.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, me too. Mr. Duddridge's Fear the Invisible Man.
That looked good.
Yeah, that does look good. So, and that's like, that's proper low budget people doing it for the love of movies and you know, making the most of the technology they've got today to the best, because it does look good. And my interview with them is on the channel somewhere. So anybody's interested, find it, give it a look. Give the channel a sub if you've not subbed before. Anybody out there watching us on YouTube just now or later on, and give us a wee like, because that seemingly is a good thing to do. And hi to that one solitary person out there on Twitch. You know who you are.
Well, it's going to be Nicolas Cage and Renfield's play Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah.
So it will be an interesting.
Oh, I like the sound of that, and then I saw something else and that put me off it. What was it? Can't remember now because I'm getting old.
I'm the thing that worries me just a little bit. I mean, it's $100 million. It's a big budget movie, especially for horror.
Yeah.
Which means, they're going to have to make some money for it to actually be a success and not follow suit with like Tom Cruise's The Mummy and Luke Evans's Dracula Unleashed.
Yep.
Which I think is the safer bet that it's going to go with that. However, Nicolas Cage has been choosing some very interesting movies that have been hitting with people lately.
Oh, I know what it was. I just googled it. Awkwafina's in it.
She's in that Dracula movie?
Yep.
What's she doing in that Dracula movie?
You see, your voice say was exactly my...
It's interesting. I mean, if she's trying something a little bit more like serious,
I will watch any Nick Cage movie too, Hyperkaiju. But when I saw that I thought, oh no, because I just watched Shang-Chi. And
if she's not doing the comic relief and she's playing it straight, that'd be very interesting to see. Like how she actually acts when she's not playing Awkwafina. But that does raise a question of whether or not it's going to be like a dark comedy with her being like the same thing Rosie O'Donnell was in the Disney Tarzan, sort of. The whole movie is semi-serious, and then you've got this one character that's from Brooklyn that's just spouting jokes that just rubs against the rest of the movie.
That's she's the sidekick, Katie, for Shang-Chi in the movie version of Shang-Chi.
Or if you saw Jumanji 2 with
Jumanji 2,
she was the Asian, like what the one main kid got put into, the Asian thief. You'd know her if you saw her. She
worked kind of worked all right in Jumanji 2, I've got to say.
No, she didn't. She didn't do a bad job at all. But
I thought she worked all right in that.
She played very much to her strengths in that movie.
Actually, I'm going to talk myself into liking it. It wasn't her fault that her character was terrible in Shang-Chi. It was just badly conceived.
Yeah, like the context really does matter in what she's doing.
It does.
Because I mean, if comedy's a lot harder to do than drama, so if she's there and she's actually acting and doing something, like she might be good. Who knows? Maybe she's ready for a career change.
Right. Okay. I can't wait to see the Nick Cage Dracula movie with Awkwafina. It's going to be awesome.
Just if you Google her, Awkwafina Pete, you'll know her face. Her face, she's everywhere.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, it's a weird thing for. See, that's a weird. I think Blumhouse said that they were really only interested in the Universal or the Invisible Man franchise, probably because it's so dirt cheap to make. I didn't think that they were gonna, they're doing the Halloween stuff, but I mean, I didn't think they wanted to do any period stuff because it's too expensive. So maybe that's just it. Universal said, "You want to do a period Dracula?" And they said, "No, thank you." So they're going to try to do it again themselves. I don't understand why they can't figure out their assets.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. It's like you don't even need to change that much to make a good Dracula movie. It's all there in the book. Everything is there. You just need a shovel and a gun, and that's you. Hit him with a shovel, shoot him with a gun. Movie
shoot him with the shovel, yeah. Ooh, a shovel gun. A gun that fires shovels.
That's a shovel gun. Well, good. That would be like in Van Helsing, wouldn't it? That would be like
for sure. He would.
Hugh Jackman, Van Helsing. Remember that?
Oh yeah. The best thing about that movie was like that's the reason the Legacy collections came out. So
yeah,
I'm indebted to it.
Totally, because they all start with trailers for that movie. And,
yep. So the first three, I remember Dracula, Frankenstein, and Wolfman came out, and then later on they pushed the mummy, the creature, and the Invisible Man. I got them all. They were great.
Do you think Van Helsing is aged better? Like a fine wine.
I watched it about a year ago, and it's a 2000s action movie. It's aged about like that. If you like stuff like that, if you like Men in Black, R.I.P.D., those type of things, you might be. Of course, a lot of people like it's straight. They saw it when they were 8 years old. Hey, let's face it, for an 8-year-old, it's a great movie.
Yeah,
I won't deny it. I'm not gonna hit it. For a little kid, there's monsters going crazy. There's things. It's awesome. So now those people are now adults. I think that's huge nostalgia for Van Helsing now.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there.
For anybody that saw it when they were an adult back then and got older, I don't think their minds have changed one bit.
If that film had been a huge success, though, I don't know, we might have had like the Mummy movies crossing over with it and all kinds of weird stuff happening.
Maybe. Oh, they wanted the Mummy in there, but Stephen Summers put a stop to that because he couldn't figure out how to put it into the story.
It's growing in Pete a little. He keeps
I think
seeing bits of it on TV.
Of course, when you don't take it seriously, and oh well,
yeah, definitely.
I think even not 8-year-old,
yeah,
would be agreeing with that. But yeah, there's a lot. The werewolves still, I think, look good in that movie, even to this day. The effects that they had on the first werewolf when they were trapping it in the forest look great.
Yeah, I think I'm going to revisit that at some point. Maybe we should do that next year. Maybe we should revisit Van Helsing.
Sure.
Why not?
Sure.
Movies that had like a groundbreaking CGI now looks like a PlayStation 2 game.
It looks a touch dated, but I think like they went so advanced with just the werewolves that not as much the Hugh Jackman one at the end, but the ones that were in the middle, they did a pretty good job on, in my opinion. Because werewolves are hard to pull off. They really are. I can name on maybe one hand successful werewolf movies. And one of them, like London, like you saw it in just like flashes and moments. You didn't really even see it.
There's moments in the movie that kind of work. It's just, yeah. It's just like an anime brought to life in many respects, I think. Like,
Little bit. Well, I mean, it was one of those funny things. I think their biggest problem was they made things so complicated just so they could own it. You know what I mean? Like Gabriel Van Helsing, that's our Van Helsing. And then the werewolf vampire paper, rock, scissors thing, like they got a little too carried away. But then again, Stephen Summers, he's coming off The Mummy.
The Mummy, was it the second one he was coming off of? The Mummy Returns?
I don't remember if it was the second or the first, but then he did, before that, he did Deep Rising.
Ash and Jacko couldn't enjoy it even back then. And Pete's taking one for the team. He watched American Werewolf in Paris the other night.
Those look like goblins. I still don't understand the face. It's not a dog face. That being said, put it on its own. Take it away. Take the American. Just put Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah.
It wasn't a horrible movie. But when you try to connect it to a much better werewolf movie,
that's
where the problems happen.
You kind of got to wonder, though. It's one of these things, to get funding. You get your funding for something like that. It's easier to get it if you've linked it to that movie.
Yeah, supposedly there's a script for the original American Werewolf in Paris by Landis somewhere out there.
I don't like reading these original scripts. I know people do. I don't really like it. Occasionally,
I'd like to see what he just the story idea he had. I don't really need to read the script. It's kind of like when Peter Jackson was writing Nightmare on Elm Street #6, and he had the idea of like people would just go into their dreams just to gang beat on Freddy because nobody's scared of him, and Freddy like lashed out accidentally and killed somebody, and then people started to get scared and he got more powerful and started terrorizing them. That's a great idea for a movie. Yep. I don't know if it would have been a great movie, but it's a great synopsis.
Yep.
But they
went a great scene. A great scene, third act. Yeah.
Yeah. The script sounded great. There's some good ideas and set pieces in there, but good heavens, the CG effects. Yeah. And the werewolf vision.
I might be returned to it. I don't know. I think I see that the HMV they do these kind of like Blu-rays that are kind of like collectors and slipcases, but they're not always great movies. Things like American Werewolf in Paris, for instance. I see that they're down 2 for 15 quid, so I might have a look and see if that's one of theirs. I think it is. I might give myself a copy and give it a watch. I don't have ITV2 because I don't have a TV license. So
that's what we do here, Pete. We take movies that he hates and we change his mind on them.
Yeah, that's it. Change my mind on them. Was it Rambo 5?
Absolutely. I thought that was an awesome movie. Not necessarily a Rambo movie, but I thought it was an awesome movie. That's enough Rambo.
No, I like. I was referencing Freddy movies the other day by one of my students with the work that he was doing. Just looking at me, he's like, "What are you talking about? This means nothing to me."
Wow. Did you just go sit down and say I'm old?
I know. I was like, wow. Yeah, no, that must have been like I was talking about silent movies or something.
Oh my goodness! I've had times where it's like someone at that I know, and he's a younger guy. I was talking about some movie, and he asked me who John Wayne was. I could have just had a heart attack right there.
Oh, that I've got like the film the Red Adair movie that he made, Hellfighters, which is not a great movie.
Nah.
In fact, it's not even a good movie.
It's a weird modern John Wayne movie.
But I've ordered the Blu-ray.
Oh, did you?
Because who would ever thought you'd have had like a special edition Blu-ray of John Wayne's Hellfighters? With documentaries and interviews with Andrew McLaughlin and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm not getting this for the movie. I'm getting this for all these extras.
Oh, I can't tell you how many movies I've done that for. It's like, I don't even like this movie, but it's got a documentary attached to it. So
yeah, because much like Van Helsing on ITV2, Pete was talking about this movie. It seemed to be on early evening BBC One every summer when I was a kid. I think about twice a year it would be showing. And my only takeaway watching the movie was it was based on a real character,
Sure.
And also he must have a really boring life because the movie was turgid. But yeah, I bought the Blu-ray just because of all the extras. Anyway, sorry, you were saying what have you been buying that way? What have you been getting just for the extras?
Well, I know that the excuse me, the new Star Wars trilogy. I didn't especially care for most of them, but they each had like a 1.5, 2 hour long documentary attached to them, and that was actually more interesting than the movie was.
Yeah,
my favorite part.
I can imagine.
What's that? Well, my favorite part was in the third Star Wars movie. They had J.J. Abrams, and he looks almost like no energy, a little sad. He's like, well, I didn't expect to be back on this set again.
Yeah, but because he doesn't like Star Trek,
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't go that because we don't do that on this channel. We don't sit here and slag off Star Trek for hours. Because I would never stop if I started.
It was interesting to see what went wrong behind the scenes in those Star Wars movies, and they showed it in the documentary.
Oh, really?
You could see people were, like you could see him and Mark Hamill are, like talking back and forth. But no, I don't agree with this kind of thing on the set. They'd be off to the side kind of thing, like.
Oh, so I'm talking about Star Trek and Star Wars mixed up. Yeah, he mucked up 2 franchises. Way to go, man.
The nude Star Wars trilogy. No, I haven't seen that one. I'm sure it exists.
No,
I'm almost 100% certain that exists.
Yeah, I think there might even be more than 3 of them.
Very possibly.
As movies I'm talking about. Talking Pictures TV now have a streaming catch-up thingy. Oh, so how does that work then? Because you can watch things on catch-up without a license. So that I did not know that. Thanks for that, Pete. Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's all very convoluted over here. I just never bother getting a license again because I don't watch much terrestrial TV. If I don't watch any terrestrial TV, I wouldn't know what was happening.
It sound cooler when
Doctor
you say
Who
it like
if I
that.
didn't watch the Rabbi's channel.
Terrestrial TV.
Terrestrial TV. Yeah.
What's that? Extraterrestrial TV.
Yeah, I know. That's what we call it over here. Terrestrial TV. That's what we used to call it, and then because we get satellite TV. So there was terrestrial, and then there was satellite TV.
Oh, like cable.
Yeah, so you guys always had cable, didn't you? So that's the thing. So that was something that was new to us.
Terrestrial TV, I like it.
Terrestrial TV, yeah. So we had to pay or still do have to pay a license in order to watch streaming TV. They're back
Under
again.
attack.
Goddamn naked HD online strips without clothing. That doesn't even make sense. Seriously, you can't strip without clothing.
You can. Did you ever see that?
That's
that one rock DJ with Robbie Williams, where he like ripping off his skin and he stripped.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, an error occurred. Try to block him. It's not letting me. Thanks, StreamYard.
I'm removing them and cutting them as we speak.
I blame Pete for mentioning nude Star Wars. That brought them all back.
Oh my goodness, they're like.
I can't block that one. Can you give it a go?
Got it.
Cheers. Oh man.
Well, you know you're coming up in the world when you get attacked.
Is that what it is? Well, I made a wee video to put up for like people that are new to the channel. I spent a whopping 2 hours putting it together last night.
Oh boy.
I just downloaded other videos and then clipped wee bits and put them together. Yeah.
That'll do it.
And I was going to do like a wee talking to camera bit, but then I thought, what the hell? And just put it up there today. So I've now got like a wee video that says gives them a wee taster of what's on the channel. So, I've probably picked all the worst bits. all from the starter streams, because I couldn't be bothered watching through that many of them.
How dare you? This is good entertainment.
I know. It's all good. That's what I thought. I mean, every minute of it's good. Nah, I don't need to apologise. It wasn't you, Pete.
Yeah.
Show it. Yeah. Well, hang on a minute. Can I do? Hang on. Okay, we'll do that.
Don't crash your computer now.
Oh, thanks. Right. I can't use. This is what I do. I use Mozilla to show stuff, and I use Chrome to run StreamYard. Because it's not very good at doing things if you're not using Chrome. The reason it's crashing is because I'm teaching all day as well.
Sure.
So
overtaxed.
It's just I didn't have time to restart my machine again tonight either. I usually restart before the shows. 304 subs. Way to go. Woohoo. Okay, how do I do this again? I'll probably go back in and edit this again. I just kind of thought, stick it up because why not? I need to get more of us nattering about stuff. That's not right. I'm sharing the wrong thing there. Oh man, I'm having a senior moment. I'm not even that old.
It's okay. It's all right.
I need to try out the new share slides. You can bring in PDFs and share PDFs and go through them.
We don't have PDFs here. We got a PDB down there. Closest thing. Sorry. Fresh out.
Right, here's hoping that it plays the sound because it doesn't always. I just like sound. Oh, look, there's us. There we are, watching this.
This is like Streamception again.
Pete, and there's a Naked HD XYZ online strips without clothing down there. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. They back? God darn it.
There we go.
Move that.
Yeah.
Report that. Wow.
A wee taster of what I do in this channel. That's just down the road there. So it is. All my own footage. None of that. All my own shaky cam footage. 3 likes. That's ridiculous. Is that all?
Holy cow.
Right, is the sound working?
Dundee, Scotland, the home of comics.
Did that work?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Dundee, Scotland, the home of comics, and pure reeking with culture. Statues are erected to real historical figures, such as our national bard Rabbie Burns, and this guy, some important midget with a telescope. But this city also celebrates its fictional characters. Desperate Dan and Minnie the Minx are frozen in time on the main street. And our Wullie, not me, but our Wullie sits cheekily next to Rabbie Burns outside the McManus galleries.
Without further ado, I'm just going to bring in our guest, the one, the only, the Mr. Don Chin.
Wullie, nice to see you.
That's my special water.
You wouldn't get any sort of budget for making this, simply because people would you have a line of people going, you can't have that, no you can't, and then eventually you rob the character of what makes it distinct.
This is big you up. Let's have a look.
This is the first appearance of Daredevil.
Excellent.
And he was in The Mighty World of Marvel. This is obviously the reprint of the first appearance because it's for Marvel UK. But yeah, the old yellow costume. And I just look at the advert. Look at this advert. Look at that. Proper
Brilliant.
Thor.
Proper.
Dude, I made a Freddy Krueger glove with those blades.
Oh, God.
And I got in so much trouble because I went down the whole street and lopped the flower heads off all the gardens.
But yeah, Otis would be in this film. I can show you him.
Yeah, let's have
I'll
a.
show you.
I'm going to big you up here and let's have a. Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
So he's
looks
pretty
awesome.
creepy.
Good.
I'm gonna try really hard. I'm not gonna make fun of this movie.
Answer this question: are you Nuclear Man or Nuclear Man?
Oh, nuclear man for sure.
How we're going to rank these is at the top we have classic. So I've got that speaks for itself. You know, the highest tier. Just below it we have almost as good as Albert Payun's Captain America.
Wow.
Yeah. So the whole point of this story was for Alan Moore to come along and give us like a really nice capper to what Silver Age and Bronze Age stories were, but at the same time imbue them with that modern sensibility that he was famous for bringing into comics at that time. In other words, this is where the light of the Silver Age meets the dark of the modern age. The New York Ripper. Right. So we're going to talk about that tonight. It was Lucio Fulci was wanting to make this as his kind of homage to Hitchcock. I'm not quite sure what Hitchcock movies he's been watching. Okay. Could this get any more exciting? Yes. To be any more exciting. There you go. Think that gives a flavour of what goes down in this channel. If we lost you, Statto. Be right back. He's away. Right. Okay. StreamYards is being really, really annoying because I've been trying to wrench up Hyper Kaiju for the last 5 minutes and it's not letting me do it. So that we could win this battle against the Naked HD XYZ. We'll satisfy your wishes online, mob. So. Cheers. Stat.
Yes.
Can you wrench anybody up because it's not letting me?
I cannot. As
You
the
can't,
guy,
can you?
I can only report or block these fine people, which I will do neither.
Right. It's not letting. Yeah, it's not letting me wrench anybody up because we need a bigger army to win this war. Yeah. But yeah, that was just I just quickly put that together so that there was a video that I could just have up there. I'll probably do another one. It's like the better edited one.
Pretty cool.
But I thought I'll just kind of like get that one up there. Just yes, 5 Gregs. That's a good fun fact. That one. There are 5 Gregs in Dundee, and that was me eating a £1 Greg sausage roll. As I'm walking the streets of Dundee, getting that footage. Right, as this is not letting me do anything much at all. I don't know what's up with that. We can do it in the settings here. Nothing. Right, yeah, I saw. God, you scared the life out of me. Then you changed again, didn't you? I turned
Scaring
away.
contest, man.
I know. We could be here all night. Oh, I'm hoping you're not in trouble there, Ashen.
Goodness.
I'd never get to work if I had to walk past 5 Gregs. Luckily, they're not all lined up together. Just 2 of them are. So you can buy a sausage roll, or you can buy like a steak bake out of one, and then by the time you've finished it, you can go into the next one, and you can get like a nice apple turnover or a cream-filled chocolate donut at the other one. You know, perfectly timed, and one of their coffees. Or if it's early morning, you can get the bacon roll and the latte combo. Yeah, gotta love Greg's. Right, so guys, thanks for sticking with us there. That was a bit hectic there towards the end. I'm going to see what's up with StreamYards next week. Hopefully everything will be okay, and I'll get a wrench. I'll get a wrench your way, Hyper Kaiju, and you can help fight the mighty battle against all these bots. So thanks for joining us, guys. That was fun talking about Hammer and Frankenstein.
Oh yeah. for sure.
What we doing next week? That's
I
what
don't
we'll
know.
do. I'll show people what we're doing next week. Give me a
Yeah,
second.
let's have a look.
Let's have a look. I can't remember myself. Where are we? Oh, that's what we're doing next week. We're doing the pre-MCU superheroes from Marvel. So yeah, it's the by far the best Spider-Man, Nicholas Hammond. We're going to be talking about that. By far the best Blade. I know that for a fact, even though the new one hasn't been done. Wesley Snipes. And by far the best Hulk. Well, best Banner anyway, with Bill Bixby.
Would you say that's the best Howard the Duck?
I don't like the design that they've got in the MCU for Howard the Duck. I really don't like it.
Right.
But the best Howard the Duck is the Steve Gerber. Frank Browner and Steve Gerber, Gene Cole and Howard the Duck. That's the best Howard the Duck by far. I kind of have a soft spot for Elektra, so it should be an interesting. Should be an interesting show. So that's what we're doing next week. Watching some crap movies and TV shows over the next week.
Some classics, and this is going to be so full of nostalgia. It's not even going to be funny.
It is. It's like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll turn up the green body paint on, but I'll keep my avatar on so you won't see it, but nevertheless I'm still going to do it.
We'll know.
So guys, Pete, Hyper Kaiju, Michael McCartney, Ashen, Naked HDXYZ, everybody that's watched, thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed the show. It was a wee bit hectic there, a bit of everything that could go wrong did go wrong tonight.
Everybody.
So next week's show will go like a dream. So cheers. And without further ado, we've probably got at least 7 copyright claims so far. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that we get another one. As that plays out. Hey, job. I know. Yeah, here comes our last copyright claim of the night, which really annoys me. It really annoys me because the film is not in copyright.
New high score.
Every week I get one.
Oh.
So cheers, Statto, and cheers, chat.
Bye, everybody.
You have seen this incident based on sworn testimony. Can you prove that it didn't happen? Perhaps on your way home, someone will pass you in the dark, and you will never know it, for they will be from outer space. Many scientists believe that another world is watching us this moment. We once laughed at the horseless carriage, the airplane, the telephone, the electric light, vitamins, radio, and even television. And now some of us laugh at outer space. God help us in the future.